We are creative beings, and anything which triggers our force, whether it is creativity, whether it is sexuality, whether it is anger, whether it is fear, whether it is anything, it need not be written off as good or bad or whatever. Okay, we need to be able to express as part of our creative wholeness. We cannot try to be this holier than thou, religiously conditioned person for whom compassion means being soft spoken, treading softly, being goody two shoes, love thy neighbor, love, love, love. It doesn't happen. In the Matrix, such a demand on an individual who is dealing with a gamut of psychologies on a daily basis and vested interests and covert agendas and etc., it becomes imperative to be able to express oneself absolutely unconditionally. We need not be dictated to by any sort of diktat which is standing outside of me and my experience. Me and my experience is the most important thing, because the creative flow is flowing from my individuated self. If I try to subvert that unleashing of any kind, I'm going to be choking my creativity, and that is, in my understanding, a sin. The flow does not choke itself. The flow is a flowing thing. And if we are to assume that we are creative gods in our own right, being born of creation, we are all children of that God, which is the force of creation. So, from the same lineage, from the same spiritual DNA, we must know how to allow our creativity to express itself without any hesitation, without any sort of human conditioning, without any sort of bullshit which the mind may instruct us. Enough of education, I say, and enough of social conditioning, and enough of religiosity and their commandments, and enough of all that to express, to be who one is. There cannot be any interference between me and my experience. To thine own self be true, and it shall follow as the night the day. Thou canst then not be false to any other. We, as a society, as a human whole, as a collective, we have got trapped by this whole aspect of conditioned response. If it is conditioned, let it be completely my localized conditioning, not my localized conditioning being fractured and beaten down by the conditioning of authorities outside of myself, okay, which are dictating their own conditioning upon my conditioning to basically suppress me from expressing myself, because it doesn't match their conditioned blueprint or their conditioned format. We have to understand, we are beings which are running on a software, either an individual software or a borrowed software from here and there, from education systems, social systems, and blah blah. And we need to understand that the way to become very close to that soul aspect of ourselves is to be able to express ourselves purely from our authentic self, which is the localized individual, child of God, carrying that filament of creativity, and allow it to chip away at its own unreasonableness, to then expose the spirit, the soul, and become purer and purer and more in alignment with consciousness. We cannot do that unless we do this. This is a rite of passage. Everything that we experience is a rite of passage. We don't need to get stuck on any experience at all. It is a part of the momentum of existence, of life, of our vitality, of our infinity, of our immortality. So therefore, to choke the flow is to strangle God itself. Om Tat Sat.